Hi everyone and welcome back. Thanks for joining us for our Friday author session. This session is going to be a little bit different to the other ones this week. We've done a lot of creative and imaginative writing. This time we're going to shift a little bit and do some non-fiction writing. And we're very lucky today to be joined by Kristin Darell, who's a writer and journalist and is going to challenge you in a different way. Welcome also again to James Foley, our author and illustrator, who's going to be drawing and recording some of the ideas that Kristin will be talking about and helping to set your challenges for the weekend or going into next week. So welcome, Kristin. I'll hand over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name's Kristin. Lovely to be here with you. I'm super lucky to have been doing what I've been doing for about 25 years, and that's writing. I write for young people just like you, but I've also been really lucky to be writing for adults as a journalist for a really long time, and I've been doing that in television. So as a reporter and a producer, I've gone to some incredible places. I've been to places that were a bit scary, like bushfires or disaster zones, like floods and cyclones, and I've met all sorts of amazing people there. But some of it was also really, really, really incredible. I got to go to the Winter Olympics. Some of you may have heard of Stephen Bradbury, who won a short track ice skating competition when everybody else fell over, but he got a gold medal and I was there to see him do it. So that was pretty exciting. I've even got to interview lots of really cool people. Some of them are quite famous. You may have heard of John Farnham, or even Jackie Chan, the super karate person. But I've also spoke to lots of ordinary people, just like you and me, and they all had amazing stories to tell. And that is the thing that brings us all together, our stories. And that's what we're going to talk about today as we think about writing our own non-fiction piece, just like a journalist does. The focus is going to be on telling a fabulous story. So there are lots of different types of stories that we can tell, but they broadly fall into two buckets. You've got fiction stories and non-fiction stories. So the big difference between them, and you probably already know this, but fiction stories are made up or not true. Non-fiction stories are true. And as a journalist, the stories I told fell into that second bucket. They're true stories, and that's what we're going to do today as well. So we're going to look at writing a non-fiction or true story. Now, these stories are really, really, really important. By telling these stories, we're telling stories about things that are going on in the world or the people that live in the world around us. And they can be really fun and really exciting. So where do we start? Well, there's two things we need to decide. First of all, what type of non-fiction story are we going to write? And second, and most importantly, what are we going to write about? So let's look at our options for number one, the type of non-fiction. Now, we could do an interview. A lot of you may have already done this, but an interview is really just asking someone some questions and writing down or recording their answers. And that could simply be the story that you tell. Now, you could also use that interview to write a report or an article. That's what a lot of journalists do, and you probably see that in newspapers or online. Now, the important thing here is that an article or a report isn't really what you think. It's about reporting what someone else is saying or what someone else has done. So if there are two sides to a story, it's really important that you ask someone on both sides of that story to do an interview or give an opinion or a thought so that it's balanced. Now, the most important thing here is that everything you say and write is true, and that it's not about what you think as the person writing the story, it's about what the people you're talking to think. You might even want to include a bit of background, which could make it a little bit more interesting or give a bit more context so the person reading your story understands. Now, the last option I'm going to give you today is an opinion piece. Some of you may hear this as an op-ed. Some might even hear it as a blog. There's a lot of different ways that we can give our opinion. Now, the big thing here, and you probably have already figured out what that is that an opinion is what you think. Now, some people give their opinion. They're not trying to convince anybody of anything. They just want to say, this is what I think, and I think it's pretty cool. But in a lot of cases, and probably most cases, When people write an opinion piece, they are trying to convince someone else to think of their opinion. Now, there's a word we can use here. They're trying to persuade someone. Now, you've probably already heard this word, but that would also be known as a persuasive text. So, and as persuasive text, again, you might be able to use an interview, but you might not. You might put some background, but you might not. It can just be what you think. But what's really important is when you're writing an opinion or in a persuasive text that you give the reasons why you think the way you do. So that's the first step. And what I think we're going to look at as an example today is one of these opinion pieces or a persuasive version of one. Now, the second thing we needed to decide, what are we going to write about? There are so many choices here. So it could be about a place. It could be animals, science, music, sport, or a people. And I bet you can add even more to that list. Perhaps you can even write your own list for us and share with us and let us know what you think. You could give some other kids some ideas. Now, every one of those points can be broken down even more. So let's take people, for example. We could look at people from history, famous sports people, people who play music, people with a disability, people doing amazing things, people breaking records, or people you admire, which I like to call heroes. And that's the topic I've decided we can work through today. So we are going to write or look at how we would write an opinion piece about a hero. So the great thing about that topic is it fits really well with giving an opinion, because let's face it, we all believe in who our heroes are, and we've probably got some really good reasons for it. And I bet you could think of even just one straight off the top of your head, someone you admire or somebody who is your hero. Now, that hero could be a famous sports person. It could be someone you know, could be someone you don't know. It even could be someone who is a fictional character. The main thing to think about is that you have to have a reason why they're your hero. So that's the topic we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about heroes. How about you, James? You got some heroes?
I've got some heroes. My mum's my hero.
Oh, we all love mums. Mums are good.
Especially at this time, you know, mums and dads are being heroes, aren't they? Because they're having to deal with kids at home, and teachers are heroes for doing what they're doing. And people who are doctors and nurses are being the absolute epitome of heroes. And, you know, police and fire people, all those first responders, they're just absolute heroes who are doing their best to, you know, keep all of us safe.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see how some of these people who, a lot of people probably don't really think about what they do every day, and something like this happens and suddenly what they do is so important.
Yeah, but all of us can be heroes too, and in the easiest possible way at the moment, just by staying home and watching videos. Like, we can be heroes too, just by being lazy. It's wonderful.
Or writing and being creative, James.
That's true. Writing and drawing too, and then being lazy after.
Who's your biggest hero, Joe?
So I would have definitely said my mum, but also being a teacher, children's authors are my heroes, bringing them into the classroom. And I'll share, yes, James Foley, definitely a hero, but Jackie French has been a hero of mine for a very long time. And then when I got to meet her last year, that was huge. It was meeting a role model of mine. So, but yeah, and then people like Dr. Seuss and Roald Dahl and people that I'm not going to get to meet, but just, yeah, lots of heroes in all different areas of my life, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so important is heroes can come from anywhere. They can be someone you meet walking down the street, could be a hero to you. And as I was saying before, it's important just to think about why they're your heroes, because that's what really makes it a hero. And that's why writing something about a hero in this style as an opinion, it's never going to be wrong. There's never a wrong reason, because your hero is your hero. And James has reasons, Joe has reasons, and I have reasons for who my heroes are. And I agree with all of that. My kids are my heroes too. They teach me every day. And that's why I love hearing what kids think, because that's what makes it really important. I know you're both parents too. So you know, I bet you guys feel the same about your kids sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, my kid did something heroic today. Peed on the potty. Yes!
Yay!
Sorry, I didn't mean to go into toilet humor. It's just, it was a
I was
big
going to
deal.
say, you got it
It's
in
really-
there, James. You got the
I'm not
toilet humor in there
gonna
again.
draw it, so it's okay.
Well, look, I thought I'd share then my hero. So my hero, in this instance, that I'm going to choose that we can maybe brainstorm with today is actually a fictional character. So we've heard lots of real life heroes here. We've heard about authors, nurses, doctors, and I agree 100%. But the one we're going to use today, and you might get a clue just here behind me a little bit, is Captain Marvel. So I thought, it's one you prepared before, James?
That's right, one I had prepared earlier.
So I thought we'd have a think about how we could use Captain Marvel to create an idea of a nonfiction piece, an opinion about why Captain Marvel is a hero. So the first thing we might do to do that is we might create what we like to call a mind map, or a thought board, or cloud of ideas. Lots of people use all different names for it, but really what it is just you're putting some ideas down on a piece of paper randomly without worrying about there being any right or wrong or anything like that. So as you can see James very well doing there, you can write or draw your hero in the middle of the page. You can always add a superhero cape or a fancy hairdo or whatever you like. And then all around it, you're just going to add some random words about why that person is your hero. And this is your why. So I'll start the ball rolling with Captain Marvel, and maybe Joe or James can think of a few too, because I know they're both Captain Marvel fans as well. So I'm going to start the ball rolling with, she's brave. She's also very smart. And this is one I really like because she's kind of doing something I've always wanted to do. She's super cool. She wears a cool leather jacket when she's not in her Captain Marvel outfit, and she's breaking stereotypes. So even before she got her superpowers, super fancy hand powers, she was flying fighter planes as a girl. So I thought that's pretty cool. Joe, have you got anything you think?
I would say she has integrity and she fights for what she believes in. And
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So we've got she's brave. She's super cool because she's breaking stereotypes. She has integrity. She's smart. I also love the fact that she makes mistakes. So she's flawed. She's not perfect. None of us are. And that's the reality. But she learns from her mistakes and she's not afraid to admit that she's made her mistakes. James, what do you think?
I was actually going to say that one. Every time she gets down, she gets back up again.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it? I think she's pretty funny too. I like her because she's funny. She's got a great sense of humor. She helps people. She's kind. She shows her feelings. She's loyal. Joe, can you think of any more?
Oh, I think you've taken all of my ones that I would have said.
Well, that's quite a lot. So she's brave, she's loyal, she's kind, she's smart, she has integrity, she helps people. You know what? There's one more. I'd like to add one more. James, do you have any more?
She has a cat.
Before I add my last one?
She has an alien cat. That's pretty cool.
You're right. That's our favorite, actually. We have a cat in our house now called Goose. I love alien cats. They're great. And there's one more, though. She has cool, supercharged hands that can shoot fire or even boil a kettle. Who wouldn't want that? Really? Who wouldn't want that? So, and as James said, most importantly as well, she does get up every time she's knocked down. So there's a lot of really good reasons there why she's a hero. So this is really fun. This is something you can do anytime you like. And you know what? What you've got there, that could be it. That could be as far as you even need to go to show you how you would put together an opinion piece. Because you could stand there with that and tell someone why you think that person in the middle is your hero simply by listing all of the things around the edge. Oh, we've got a flirkin.
This is spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert. I love it. I love it. So it is a lot of fun, but how does this actually help us if we do want to sit down and write our nonfiction piece about our hero, our opinion piece? Well, what you can do is take your mind map and put it to one side for a moment with a new piece of paper. You can write at the top of that piece of paper who your hero is. You could say something like, I'm going to tell you about my hero. My hero is Captain Marvel. It could be as simple as that. But again, there's no right or wrong. What you're doing here is introducing your hero. That's the first thing you do. Now, the next thing you do is you go to your mind map, and every sentence or paragraph you write now are going to be the reasons why that person that you have listed at the top is your hero. So let's take an example. All right. So one that we all talked about, and I think James brought up there, was about being able to admit you've done something wrong. Okay, I think that's a pretty good reason for me why she's a hero. So I might say, I feel that being able to admit when you are wrong is really hard, but really important. Okay, so it could be as simple as that. However, there's a way we can make our point even stronger. Examples are a really good way to make that point. So James, I know you're a Marvel fan too. Can you give an example of how Captain Marvel maybe has admitted she was wrong and maybe what she did about it?
I can, but it would give away plot points in the movie.
That's true. That's true.
I'm trying to think of a simple one.
All right. I'll suffice to say that she makes mistakes, but she's not afraid to keep fighting for them. So you might want to give an example of what that is after you've seen the movie. There you go.
Yes.
There's some homework. Go and see the movie. But in the end, she does everything she can for the people who really need her. And that's what's important. So writing an example of your point is a way, but if all you want to do is just write the point, that's fine as well. Whatever you decide you want to do. But you'll see there's something really interesting. And James, if you just want to underline the first 3 words of that second paragraph, I feel that. Okay, so that is what we call a sentence starter. And when we're writing a persuasive text or an opinion piece in this way, there are a few that you can use that really help with the way you're telling your story. Now, you might be able to think of some. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and then I'd love you to maybe see if you can think of some more. But it could be things like, in my opinion, I believe this because, and then you go on with your reason why. It might be, here are 3 reasons why I believe Captain Marvel is my hero. It could be simply, even the most simple is first, and then you give a reason. Second, you give a reason. Or you could say something like, the fact is that, and you go on with your point. So there are lots of great little sentence starters. Maybe you can think of some more, and maybe you could write those down. But they're a really good way of giving an opinion or a thought and starting it. And they are just some examples, but I'm sure you can come up with many, many, many more.
Can you do firstly, secondly, all the way up to infinitely?
I think so, infinitely, because, you know, in the end, there are so many reasons why Captain Marvel is a hero.
Oh, I spelt it wrong. I need to stick an E in there. There's a little tiny E in there too.
That's all right. You can edit later. Because that's the other thing it's important to remember is your first draft doesn't have to be perfect. You can go back and edit, fix it up. The most important thing is just to get those ideas down. And that's where your mind map can help. Okay, so we've got our mind map with all our ideas. We have our introduction. We have our sentences or paragraphs starting with our really great persuasive sentence starters. Now, how do you think we end it, Joe?
Oh, I'd probably sum up all of those reasons and then finish it with my biggest reason or my most persuasive reason for why someone should think that this is the perfect hero.
Absolutely. So you tie it up in a little bow at the end. So you've started with a statement that says, Captain Marvel or whoever it is my hero, and I'm going to tell you why. Then you've gone through all the reasons why. So in that last paragraph, which we would call the conclusion, you sum up all the reasons why. You could even just put in a big long list in a sentence, 1-word or 2-word versions of everything you've just said. So in other words, the list from your mind map, you could say, my hero is Captain Marvel. As you can see, there are lots of reasons why. These include, and you can put a big list of all the reasons why. Then you can use words like, so I am sure you'll agree, Captain Marvel is definitely a hero. Or a statement to that effect, which restates and gives a really good summary of all the reasons why you believe that person's a hero and why you think other people should believe that too. And that's a great way to end it. And so that's a really fun way to write an information piece or an opinion piece about someone using your opinion and trying to convince other people. I'm sure you both are convinced, Joe and James, that Captain Marvel's a hero now.
Definitely.
I knew already.
You did. You were easy to convince, James. So, as I said before, your first draft never has to be your last draft. You can always edit it and fix it. So don't worry when you're writing. Just put it down. I make lots and lots of mistakes. And as you can see, James does too. We all make mistakes as we go. But the most important thing about nonfiction is that we all have stories to tell. And this is a great way to share what you think and what your stories are.
I'm thinking, Kristin, as well, if I was doing this challenge, like lots of the kids at home and at school today are hopefully going to go and do, I would be writing about my hero in a persuasive way, but then I'd also probably want to maybe do a bit of research, check my facts. Maybe if it was someone I like my mum or my kids or my teacher, I might even interview them. So I'm thinking this could even become a much larger project that maybe takes me into next week as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, goodness. I think that sounds fabulous because opinion pieces, while they are your opinion, and they can simply be something you think of, like we did here for fun today, being able to persuade someone of something, the more information that you have and the more detail and the more you know, the more persuasive you're going to be. So if you want to go and have a cookie out of the cookie jar, if you can come up with some really good reasons why and some really good research why that is really a good idea for you for afternoon tea, you're far more likely to convince your mum or your dad, I'd say. So I agree with you 100%. I think there are lots of steps, Joe, that we could do with this project. We could start with simply a mind map, but then maybe one of those points from the mind map you might want to do a bit more research about. And definitely questions and answers and having what other people think to support your view is always going to add to it as well.
Great. Thank you,
So what are
Kristin.
today's challenges?
So today's challenges. So number 1 is to think of your hero.
A hero. Who is your hero?
Number 2 is to mind map or brainstorm, or you had some other great words for that as well,
Yep.
Kristin.
Ideas, wow. There's so many different ways people talk about it, you know, like I think the idea is the same though. Blank piece of paper and go for it.
Yep.
So that's about why that person is your hero, because I think it's important to have that at the beginning, why you think it. So then maybe your idea, Joe, take some of those ideas and find something to support them. Ask other people what they think. Do some research. Perhaps do an interview.
And then your final challenge is to persuade everybody. Write your persuasive text, why we should believe that. And the Littlescribe team and all of our authors would love to be persuaded as well. So make sure you're uploading those so we can see them. And yeah, see if you can convince us. Now, Kristin, this leads really nicely into a challenge that we've been setting all week. And it's almost a challenge for the Littlescribe team as well. So we have asked all the kids who have been taking part this week to think about who they would really love to read their writing. So quite often we ask people, who reads your writing? And kids will say, my teacher, maybe mum and dad, sometimes brother, sister, auntie, uncle, and then we ask them who they want to read their writing, and that's where the ideas go crazy. So we've been asking all week for people watching and taking part in these sessions to tell us who they want to be their audience. And then our challenge is to go out and try and get them an audience. So apart from Captain Marvel, who would be your ideal person to read your writing?
Oh, you know what? Kids. I like kids. I want kids to read it because, you know, I think that there are so many stories and young people have so many amazing ideas. So I like to share my ideas with kids so that kids could then go out and maybe be inspired to share even more stories or ideas. So I'd like the idea that kids would read my stories.
Yeah, perfect. All right, now, and the other thing we've been doing all week is handing over to the next author. So next Tuesday at 11 o'clock, our next author session is with James Foley. So James, you've been drawing a picture of every other author all week. Now it's time to draw a picture or an emoji to represent yourself. Go.
Okay. Should I go accurate or should I go, nah? Let's, on today's topic, let's go a different way.
Oh.
James Foley, the superhero. So hopefully everyone who's been taking part all week, you've been drawing yourselves because you're now the authors. Doing either emojis or cartoons or real life drawings of yourselves. And maybe today
been going
of
to
your
the
heroes.
Gym. I need to get some more exercise.
You could use some creative license there, James, if you like.
And here's my superpower. It's the ability to grow facial hair. I shaved this morning. It's already grown back.
Excellent. Okay, so that's next Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Make sure you join us for your session with James. Kristin, thank you so much. What a great way to end the week, really thinking about a different style of writing. And I know a style of writing a lot of the kids I've taught really love because they like writing about things they believe in and they like learning the skills of persuading others. So really great session. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us this week. Thank you, James, again. What a great job.
No worries.
And we will see you next Tuesday. Thank you. See
Bye.
ya.
Bye.